Good day, folks. This is Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Talking a little bit today about development of pasture from bare ground. This field that we're in was a farmed field, so we got control of it. It was just bare soil. There wasn't any green plants growing anywhere on this whole field. And so the first thing we did is we let it grow back that spring. We got a bunch of weeds. So a lot of weeds came up, and then we brought the livestock in and started grazing the weeds. There's never been anything planted in this field other than animal hooves. Okay, a lot of animal hooves have been planted in this field. And also there's been quite a bit of carbon grown and trampled on the ground, and along with purchased hay. You know, we've unrolled some hay here in the wintertime. And one of the things I want to cover, you see a few weeds in here. There's a giant ragweed. We just moved the cows into here about 2 hours ago. That's going to be gone by morning. They're going to nail that. But do you see any bare ground around here? Okay. There's just no bare ground. Everything's got a plant on it, or it's got some litter on it. We've got an awesome layer of good organic matter covering the ground here. And there's another weed here. This is called the common ragweed. People get all freaked out about that one. It's like, here in another week, that thing will be dead. The leaves have fallen off and the fescue will come screaming up through there. I don't worry about it. I'm sure not going to come in here and clip this and ruin all my good winter stockpile to get rid of a few weeds. That'll be dead in 2 weeks anyway. You got to look at your cattle, look at the performance of them. So, and I get this question, I got it the other day, well, if I had a blank slate, there's nothing there, what would be the first step that you would do? Well, if there's nothing there, your cattle are not going to have anything to eat, or your sheep or goats, whatever. You've got to bring something there, or give it a sabbatical. And when I say sabbatical, I'm talking about giving it a nice, good, long rest period, okay? Once you give it a good rest period, you've got some organic matter out there. We call that carbon. Anything that's going to trample on the ground, okay, that's carbon. And the animals will start this cycle. And the cycle is getting a good animal performance, so making sure the animals are fat and fed. And I'm going to show you where to look for that on this animal right in front of us here. Got a little heifer, well, she's moving off. There's another one. There's a hip bone. There's a hip bone back there. And it's right on that quarter, on the back quarter there. And there's an area right in front of that hip bone. If that's sunken in, those animals are not getting enough to eat. But my God, look at that one. I'm not going to be able to show you one that hasn't had enough to eat, because these cows are so darn full. I mean, that one's just fat. Look at that. She's just fat. She's fat and she's slick. Oh, that one behind her, he's fat. That one's fat. Oh, see that little hump right there on the very back? Right in front of that, it's going to be sunken in the depth of a cereal bowl, and it only works on the left side of the animal. Don't look on the right side; it's the left side. Boy, that heifer there. Whew, that's a first calf heifer, folks. She's not just barely a year old, so she's going to probably be doing her thing next year. But anyway, you got to make sure animals are full. So you got a blank slate. You're putting it on the ground. And in a couple years, folks, you're working with nature. You got to remember that. We want it to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a little time. Here's that Korean Lespedeza. Guess what? It was there. I didn't plant that. And this was a cropped field for many, many, many years. That Lespedeza laid right there until it got an opportunity to come up. Good grazing management, that's what it takes. Given a good recovery period. So you put your animals in there, make sure they get full, okay? And move them. We don't worm our animals. We don't even worm the calves. Nothing in here has ever had a bite of grain. And people say, oh, you're going to get animals fat, or they don't taste like shoe leather, you got to give them grain. I can tell you this much, you can eat any of these animals right here, and some of those steaks you can cut with a knife or a fork, a table knife, not a sharp knife, okay? It's because they get a good diet. They're getting an awesome diet every single day. Okay? We call it salad bar. They're getting a fresh salad bar every day. And it hasn't been picked through. Okay? Maybe a deer's been in there eating a little bit on it, but it hasn't been picked through. They're getting a really good diet. See that cow with her tongue? Look at the tongue coming out of that mouth. She's not biting the grass off. She's using her tongue. Okay? They're just taking the tips. Very, very high energy on those tips. Look at that. She's doing it so effortlessly. And people say, but Greg, cows cannot select. They don't know what they need. Oh yeah, they do. They know exactly what they need. They know exactly what they need. We're the ones that need to give them what they need, and that is selection. If you want to get animals fat going in the winter, if you push them too hard, and you're trying to get too much of this stuff trampled on the ground, or you've got this idea that they've got to do this or they got to do that, they're not going to look like this one. Look at this cow right here. That's not even a cow, that's a heifer. Okay, that's a first calf heifer. Look how fat she is. Okay? Big old filled out brisket, the wrinkles in the neck, and the happy lines. See the happy lines? The happy lines are going from left to right on her belly there. That's called happy lines. When you see those, you know you got a really nice full animal. Okay? That's what you want, happy lines. But back to the bare ground again. If you will give it time to recover after grazing, okay, in between grazings. So you come in, you graze it, you let it recover, and then you come back. This is what you'll have in 3 to 4 years. And you're always going to have a few weeds. Don't worry about the weeds. You need to manage for what you want. You want grass? Forget about the weeds. Let that take care of itself. You need to be managing your grass. And so on the grass, if you let that stuff recover in between grazings, to where it has a nice full tip on the end of it, this is what you'll have in a few years. And folks, we're getting ready to hit winter here in a couple months. It's going to be getting cold. We get a killing frost. And I want you all to learn to trust your grass. You've got to learn to trust your grass. And we were always told if you didn't get your grass grazed by the end of December, now we're talking about fescue here, cool season grass, not warm season. But the fescue actually gets better as the winter progresses. And that's because it gets more palatable. The endophyte, which is a toxin in it, actually gets lower as it sees a little more cold weather. And these cattle will look like that in the wintertime without having to feed hay. Folks, 80% of the cost of running a livestock on your farm is the hay. If you can get them looking like that on what grows here on the ground. So basically what we're doing, this is our standing hay. It's growing out here in our field. The cows will come along and they'll harvest it. You don't need a mower, you don't need a rake, and you don't need a baler. And you don't need to haul it in. You don't need to feed it out. All you got to do is move a wire in the wintertime and let them have some of this, okay? And there's a big old fat steer lumbering off. Got a big old fat butt on him. He's not quite finished. He's getting there though. He's got a couple more months. He's going to be ready. All the animals, see, you notice how they're just moving constantly. They're just moving around this paddock, just getting the best. It's a herd movement kind of thing. That's what they do. They grab them up. They're so darn full they can hardly walk. Look at that. That cow's so dang that. She's got a calf on her. There's another fat one. Tell I like fat cattle, especially going in the wintertime. It's a wonderful feeling. Folks, this is Greg Judy signing off out here on a very beautiful evening in September, and wishing everyone a great day.